Yesterday, Grey Zone Warfare's devlog was supposed to be about patch 0.3.5. Bug fixes, performance boosts, you know, the usual PR victory lap. But then, the devs started talking, and somewhere between the Unreal 5.5 flex and the AI recoil physics show and tell, they accidentally dropped half the roadmap for 0.4.0 Dark Revelations. Yeah, they call it a mini update, but what they actually described was a complete rebuild of Grey Zone Warfare. New AI tiers, new health systems, new audio engine, a reworked world. Fuck me, this isn't just another patch. This is the moment the whole game mutates. This is Dark Revelations, and this is Grey Zone Warfare.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Alright, my beautiful noobs. Yesterday I was watching the devlog for Grey Zone Warfare, hoping, well, begging for a crumb about Dark Revelations. Boy oh boy did they let it slip. Between what we said before, the Unreal Flex and the AI recoil show and tell, basically dumped half the roadmap on the stream. So let's get down and dirty in the weeds and figure out what this actually fucking means, man. Right, here we go, people. 1. Massive rebuild of core systems. The devs said 0.4 is going to be completely different game. Almost every system, except recoil, sway and aiming, will be redone and rebalanced. We're rebalancing all the vendors, progressing all the process. And they weren't exaggerating, because the official roadmap literally says, and I quote, unearth new depths to the story of Le Mans. Each step you take will make every discovery more impactful. Translation: they're not patching a game anymore, they're gonna re-architect it. So what does this mean? Everything you know about progression, vendors, money flow and how the mission chains together is getting ripped apart and rebuilt. This isn't a few tweaks, this is BSG level rebalanced territory. Expect your old habits to collapse overnight. The entire early game, that painful crawl through handshake tasks, lower tier loot, gone maybe, replaced by a new onboarding structure that's supposedly smoother and more story driven. We have a vendor unlock path getting completely rewritten, new rep thresholds, new barter items and re-tiered prices maybe. That means your favourite cheap meta buy gun items might not exist anymore. The economy loops. From mission payouts to repair costs, expect these numbers to shift hard. The mission flow as well, rewritten to make Le Mans feel like a live campaign instead of a list of errands. More branching, more cause and effect maybe. So what does this actually mean for you? The player, the content creator, the survival rat? It means you're about to get a second wipe without calling it a wipe. Your muscle memory, your economy guides, your vendor routes, they're all going to be outdated the second this patch hits. And if you're smart, you're going to turn that chaos into content, people. Here's how the meta was broken before, here's how it actually works now. Make the comparison, be the translator between the old world and the new one, because when 0.4 drops, every fucker's gonna be lost, and you're gonna be the guy, maybe me, with the map, and that's the beauty of it. Dark Revelations isn't just a name, it's exactly what's happening to this game. They're exposing its guts, tearing it open, and rebuilding everything that makes it tick. Wowzers. Higher tier AI, tier 4, tier 5 and the rise of the smart bots. The devs said we still have level 4 and level 5 AI coming later, and they dropped that line like it wasn't the single most terrifying sentence in the entire stream. They also mentioned that they've added new devs specifically to AI and teased, can't say any more yet. Translation: they're building something bigger than a simple accuracy tweak here. And remember what they said back in 3.5? AI aiming now varies based on combat situation, suppression, injury, weather, distance and weapon type. So combine that with a new tier system and what do we get? A proper AI food chain. This means tier 1 to 3 will still be your usual militia level cannon fodder. They'll miss shots, panic, under fire, run for cover. Maybe the tier 3 being a bit harder than that, but anyway. Tier 4, 5. These are going to be different animals. Are they operators? Think special ops with faster reaction times, coordinated movement, adaptive target logic. They'll likely use suppression smartly, therefore peek corners, bait flanks, re-engage from new angles if you disengage. You hide, they'll reposition, you flank, they'll counter flank, and yes, they'll probably prioritize headshots if you stand still too long. Basically, gone are the days of cheesing bots with lean spam or tree humping. 0.4's AI will force you to play tactical. Think bosses, think rogues, think raiders. For your gameplay nerd, And my content nerds out there, this for me is start of the endgame PvE. Missions involving T4, T5 AI will be the new raids. Higher danger, better loot, and probably some insane tension. This is what tier 3 looks like now, but what's coming next? The gear meta is changing too, so if the AI are smarter and more accurate, armor choices are going to suddenly matter. So you can't go budget and hope for the best. Helmets, plates, face shields, even stance control may factor in. This will push players towards a mobility versus protection trade-off maybe. Heavy armor slows you, but maybe that's the thing that's going to stop the tier 5 laser beam from melting you. This adds extra stuff into the game. So when you see these new bots appear, don't panic. Adapt, use cover, manage angles, and remember, these aren't the idiots from 0.3. They've graduated and they're coming for your skull. And for all the lore heads out there, notice the phrasing. Level 4 and 5 coming later. Later could mean post 0.4 expansion, which lines up with the world progression talk that they've mentioned. So these higher tier factions could literally be new combat groups introduced as the island evolves. Too long didn't read or even fucking listen. Dark Revelations isn't just more missions, it's an arms race. They're teaching the bots to think, and when that patch hits, we're all going to be the test subjects, people. The devs said we will use more sandbox features, add a lot of new locations, probably move some of them as well so they are more suitable. So if you read between the lines, that's not we're tweaking spawn points, that's we are rebuilding Le Mans like a psycho developer playing God. The 0.4 roadmap literally teases this. Unearth new depths with every new location, environmental detail and storyline element, which is marketing speak for you think you know the map, you don't know shit yet, people. This means the island is getting torn up and repurposed. We're talking new POIs, reshuffled terrain, existing locations moved or rebuilt to actually make sense. So that big raid zone around Midnight Sapphire that's been laggy as hell since day one, expect it to get re-architected. New entry routes, smarter spawn balance, tighter choke points. Fort Narath finally might get a proper fortress instead of a slideshow of death, and those forgotten outposts tucked in the jungle, don't be surprised if they become hot zones or quest hubs instead of empty scenery. More sandbox isn't just buzzwords either. It means systems that react, zones that change hands, missions that shift based on world state. You clear a village, maybe enemy reinforcements reclaim it later. You ignore a bunker, maybe it becomes a stronghold next time you log in. This is the kind of dynamic world design that turns Grey Zone Warfare from a tactical shooter into a living, breathing survival ecosystem. So yeah, buckle up. Grey Zone Warfare isn't just adding more map, it's rewriting the geography, the routes, and probably half of your survival instincts. This isn't Le Mans 2.0, this is going to be Le Mans Unchained. And if you're not ready when the ground shifts, you're going to get buried in it. The devs said there will be a guide, a tutorial, and you will finally get the one thing you'll probably love. A shooting range in the fob with ballistic-gel. Yeah, that's not just a quote, that's an apology. After months of players crying on Reddit, begging for basic direction, the devs finally says, fine, we're going to teach you how not to die instantly. This means you're going to get a full-blown training experience coming. This isn't tooltip pop-up or 5-second cutscenes or saying press R to reload. We're talking about a real tutorial system, something that will actually walk you through the game's core mechanics. How to heal wounds properly instead of taping your arm with a bandage and praying. How to identify armor levels before you waste 10k rounds on a helmet made of dreams. Maybe even how to navigate the FOB UI without feeling like you're hacking into the Pentagon. The devs get it. Grey Zone Warfare isn't casual friendly and that's fine, but throwing people into the Le Mans blind was never sustainable. This tutorial overhaul will bridge that gap. But the real weapon here, the shooting range. The way they said it, you'll finally get a shooting range in the FOB with ballistic-gel. That one phrase, ballistic-gel, is the most underrated bombshell of the entire devlog for me, because that means ammo data is going visual. We're not just guessing anymore, we're going to see it. We'll be able to test penetration versus armor types, flesh damage over penetration, velocity loss at range, recoil patterns per attachment setup. No more spreadsheet theory crafting, no more wasting money firing AP rounds into trees to see if they go through. You'll get hard data, actual physical feedback, the kind Tarkov still refuses to show you properly the stuff you see in Delta Force. Imagine lining up with your buddy in the fob. One tests the ammo on the gel, the other tests the full metal on the plate rig. You compare the results side by side. This is a goldmine. So why does all this matter? It's because it redefines accessibility and mastery. Before this, Grey Zone Warfare was like learning to drive by reading a car manual written in Russian in the dark while being shot at. Now, you're going to get an environment to fail safely, experiment freely, and actually understand why you're dying. It lowers the frustration barrier for new players while raising the skill ceiling for veterans who want to min-max their builds. That's rare. Most games pick one side. This update does both, and the beauty of it, this is going to ripple across the whole game. Loadout guides more accurate, vendor economy becomes clearer, AI testing becomes measurable, and every weapon balance discussion will now have receipts. So when this update lands, remember, the tutorial is going to teach you to survive, the range is going to teach you to dominate, and when everyone's panicking in Discord yelling, "What ammo do I use now?" you can lean back and smirk and say, "I told you that 7N1 was trash." So this is the last one I'm going to go into a lot of detail about, which is new health, hydration, and different dye model. Dev said, we're reworking the hydration, bloodless cavities, and overall hit reactions. Combat should feel more meaningful and realistic in 4.0. You thought, you were dying fast before? Nah mate, now you'll know exactly how you're dying. What does this mean though? The old blink and you're dead model is gone. No more random, did I just die to lag, or physics? Now every bullet that touches you will have consequences. Right now you take damage, slap on a bandage and run it off like a champ. 0.4, that's over. Each limb and cavity is getting its own damage logic, and this is huge. Arms might affect aim, stability and reload time. Legs could tank your mobility. Limp, stagger, slow your ADS transitions. Torso hits might bleed into your stamina bar, forcing you to rest or patch mid-fight. Head, neck trauma will cause stun effects, visual blurs, tinnitus, the full sensory breakdown. You're not losing health points anymore, people. You're going to lose your functionality, and that turns every firefight into a tug of war between survival and performance. Here comes the Tarkov take a tablet before you start fighting. Hydration and stamina, no longer background stats. They're going to be lifelines. Hydration in 0.3, mild inconvenience. Hydration in 0.4, it's your biological timer. Run dry and your stamina is going to tank, your focus is going to drop, your reticle sway will increase, vision fogs up, maybe your character audibly gasps, healing slows to a crawl, and blood loss is going to accelerate. That means your water bottle just became a tactical tool. You'll actually have to plan your loadout around survival, not just loot weight. Listen to that word, survival, people, and that's going to separate the pros from the panic. 3. The new bleeding and dying model is cruelly detailed. The devs mentioned more meaningful blood loss and cavity effects. That means wounds will have layers. Entrance, exit, cavity creation. Think of it like Tarkov's limb trauma, but with more persistence. You won't just stop bleeding, you'll have to deal with the aftermath. Internal bleeding still ticking down your health, slower recovery unless properly treated, maybe even infections or stamina debuffs if left untreated. So that cheap field dressing, yeah, it might stop you from dying now, but if you don't follow up with proper medikit or trauma kit, you'll be limping through the next 3 firefights like a half-cooked steak. Hit reactions are becoming cinematic and punishing. No more shooting an NPC 12 times before he reacts. In 0.4, both AI and players will physically react to being hit. Expect stagger animation, suppression shake, camera recoil when you're wounded, and even temporary blackouts when you take massive trauma. It's not just realism for realism's sake, it's feedback. The game wants you to feel danger, to see the consequences of your bad decisions. This makes firefights longer, more intense, and more unpredictable. You'll have to have those cinematic, holy shit, I'm still alive moments, where you patch yourself up mid-fight and call away bleeding but victorious. The new medical meta. So this is where the real nerds will now come alive, because with this change your med setup is going to become a full-on loadout category. Trauma kits, surgical pouches, they are about to matter. Hydration packs might become meta, and you'll probably start carrying a specialised med pack based on your playstyle. Aggressors with fast heals, explorers with hydration stacks, snipers with painkillers. Armour is going to be part of that equation too. Expect a new hitbox logic where plates that cover vital organs give you a fighting chance, but light rigs won't save you from a properly placed round. So why does this matter? Beyond realism, this system adds drama, it adds tension. Before you died instantly, now you'll live long enough to panic. Every encounter becomes its own little story. You peek, you get hit, you patch, you run, you collapse, collapse, you rise again. It's cinematic as hell. It rewards game knowledge over twitch reflexes. For veterans, it's gonna feel brutal but fair. For new players, it'll finally explain why they died and not that they did. For me, the tactical consequences are that the fights are gonna feel different. In 0.3, you could tank a few shots, stim and carry on. In 0.4, taking a hit changes the outcome. You're gonna have to manage pain, not just heal. You're gonna have to think about when to push versus when to stabilize. If hydration and stamina are tied to wound recovery, long missions could become endurance tests instead of loot runs. You're not just playing a shooter anymore, people. You're managing your own physiology under fire. This isn't just a health update. This is a proper psychological overhaul of the game. It's telling you wanted realism, fine, now every breath matters. So prep your med bags, peeps, hydrate your soul, and get ready to suffer beautifully, because 0.4 is not here to kill you instantly, it's here to make you feel it first. The senses and systems are the era of Dark Revelations. Alright my beautiful noobs, you're still here, you're still listening. We've talked about blood, bones, suffering, but now we're going to move into the sensory overhaul of 0.4. Because after they've finished teaching you how to die properly, they're about to teach you how to hear it, feel it and pay for it. The dev said 0.3.5 fixed the sonic crack and the audio leaks, but you'll definitely be pleased with what's coming in 0.4. And when the devs say you'll be pleased, that's code for we're rebuilding the sound engine from orbit. We've had loads of complaints about walking through the jungle, hearing noises, this, that and the other, not being able to hear the footprints of your opposition PMCs. Hopefully this means sound is going to finally become the weapon, not the background track. They've already rebalanced Tiger Bay's ecosystem and the bunker reverb, and now they're going deeper: positional clarity, occlusion, distance decay and material acoustics. If you're inside concrete, you'll hear it. If you're outside in the jungle, your shots will travel. Suppressed fire will finally sound suppressed instead of like a wet sneeze. PvP is going to be a psychological chess match. Suppressors become stealth tools, echo patterns betray locations, and veterans will start identifying the caliber just by the sound of the crack. You've also got vendor progression and rebalance, which is going to be the great economic reset. The devs said we're rebalancing all vendors and progression. If you played this game for more than 10 minutes, you know that basically that's announcing this means every price unlock, every barter route is on the chopping block. 0.4, the economy is going to get torn down and rebuilt. Then you've got the combat field pass, movement, ADS and recoil harmony. The devs said recoil and sway from 0.5 will stay. Everything else is going to get a lift to match. That's a big deal, because up to now the game's combat has felt like your arms and your gun were in a long distance relationship. This could mean the devs are syncing movement, aim, recoil into one unified system. No more sliding ADS jitter or animation drift. Every motion will be physically grounded. Attachments will have meaningful differences, stocks will stabilize more, barrel length will change gas pressure, and stance will define recoil profile. Immersion and impact feel every hit. The devs said fighting and being injured should feel more immersive, more visceral, more impactful. And after the new health system that's coming, you know they mean it. It's going to mean combat's going to go cinematic. Breathing audio when you're low HP, heartbeat filters, vision narrowing, tinnitus and stagger reactions when you take rounds. You won't need a health bar anymore. Your character's going to panic. That will tell you everything. It's going to be brutal, but it's also going to be brilliant. Another little tidbit, they said enemies are going to look scary. The dev said enemies are going to look a lot better. And it's about time. This means hopefully new models, new rigs, distinct faction uniforms. Finally you'll know who's tier 1 and who's a bandit in a tracksuit. Tier 4 and tier 5 enemies will hopefully have visible identifiers, heavier gear, darker tones, more elite silhouettes. That's a dream, people. Let's see what happens. Wow. My beautiful noobs, that took way longer than I thought it would. We just dove through every leak we thought we heard in the devlog, dissected it, bled over the whiteboard, and somehow came out the other side with what might actually make some sense. This one took a couple of days, a few too many coffees, but I wanted to get it right. I wanted this video to actually mean something, not just react to another patch note. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you understand what I think's coming in Dark Revelations, and now I want to hear from you. What do you think these changes mean? Am I reading too deep into it, or am I going to see a full-on Le Mans revolution? Call me out if I'm wrong. Drop your theories, your salt, your memes, your hype. Let's talk about it down below. And as always, hit the usuals for the algorithm gods. Smash a like, drop a comment, and maybe even share it to that one mate who thinks 7M1 is viable. Join the Discord, jump into the chaos, talk loadouts, talk leaks, talk lore. I love you all. Seriously, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around through the madness. This is it. Shiz out. Stay hydrated, stay alive, and I'll see you on the Mang.